Hey, the hell's going on here?
This meeting is being broadcast live and recorded. And we'll do a roll call vote of who's in attendance. Greg,
I am here.
Drew,
Here.
Myra,
Here.
John here, Deirdre,
Here.
Josh,
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Okay. First order of minutes, Mary.
Yes, I'm going to increase your anticipation of the minutes and table that item for you.
Okay.
Still working on them.
Okay, number 2, presentation. We have Habitat for Humanity neighborhood at 1121 Route 28 South Yarmouth. And Noreen Brown is here, representing Habitat. I'll turn it over to Mary and Noreen. I think we're going to try and not go through page by page, right?
Correct. Um, Go ahead and I'll kind of.
So I did submit this for review for the committee. Oh, I'm Noreen Brown, Habitat for Humanity of Cape Cod. So we're working on this now to get this application off to Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. And the purpose of the application is to approve the project for eligibility to be included on the subsidized housing inventory. So we have a very,
Full initiative program application for comprehensive permit projects.
thank you.
Can you speak up just a little bit, Noreen? I'm having trouble
Yes.
hearing.
Is
I don't know what others.
that better?
I would talk like right into it.
Okay. So the application will be reviewed here. It'll be reviewed by the Board of Selectmen. And then once we have it all complete and agreed on, we'll be sending it off to the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. They will review it. They will set up a site visit to come out and look at the project location. And then they will send a letter, 30-day letter for the town to, or the public to have any comments on. Once the comments are addressed, if any, then they will submit a project eligibility letter. Once the letter is received, then we can move forward with an application to the Zoning Board of Appeals to apply for the comprehensive permit, which will outline any kind of waiver requests that are needed or any guidelines to get the project permitted under the state's comprehensive 40B application. It's a lot. So any questions, or do you want to open it up? I mean, I can start going through it. Is there, I mean, it is 115 pages. I can start, I mean,
I'd do, just summarize.
oh, the projects, there you go.
The information on page 2.
Okay,
And then I can go to the plan.
okay. So this project is located coincidentally right across the street on the corner of Wood Road and 28. It's a redevelopment of a previously planned project for 9 condominium units. That project apparently for reasons didn't happen, and Habitat was in touch with the town to move forward with 6 affordable homes. There'll be 2 1-bedrooms, 1 2-bedroom, and 2 3-bedrooms. All modest homes that'll fall within the guidelines for affordable housing. The project, so 6 units, this was supposed to happen a while back. The reason for the delay was we waited at the town's, I believe, suggestion to wait till the sewers were in place.
Mhm.
Previously, it would have been a septic proposed project. So we're waiting for that. Now we believe that we are scheduled to be connected fall of 27.
Yes.
Fall of 27.
Yeah.
So the plan here would be to start properly, most likely start the project in the spring of 2016 with family selection, and then start some of the site work in the fall of 26 in order to get ready to connect to the sewer system in 2027. This was purchased. The town has supported the project through acquisition costs. It was a purchase, private purchase, and the Housing Trust, right, Mary?
Yes, the
Submitted- yeah.
Affordable Housing Trust put out an RFP for $500,000. saying, you know, hey, developers of affordable housing, what are your ideas in town? And luckily, Habitat had their eye on a parcel of land that came in right below $500,000. So it was within budget.
So there will be, these homes will be sold to families at 60% of their median income and 80%. So we have working on the pricing for 2025. This application does reflect the 2024 house prices per the state. We're waiting for internal, documentation to figure out what the pricing will be. So that'll be one change between now and we submit to the affordable, to HLC.
But roughly what are the prices that you've calculated if it was today?
Yeah, if it's today, 190, let me get that page,
It would
Are the
be,
prices on page 2?
yeah.
page 2, which is over here.
Yep. So a one bedroom,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
One bedroom would be between 154 at 60% and 208 at the 80. The two bedroom, 174 and 234, and the three bedroom, 194 and 261. And again, those are the 2004 HUD income maximum. price
Will
points.
these be adjusted to represent the postponement of the project till 27?
Yep. They'll probably be a little bit higher,
Okay.
like
Mhm.
anywhere from 5 to 7% higher.
So we should have the 25 numbers. They're out. The state has, so the HUD has released the numbers. Our finance department hasn't gotten to that, getting us the new prices. But so we'll get the 25 should be submitted with this application. Then we'll probably have to go back to revise, amend it for the 26, because by the time we get to build it, it'll be the 26 or 27 housing prices.
And let me go to the plans. Oh, there's a lot of plans.
Floor plans take up a lot.
Okay, so let's. Sorry, it's a PDF. Okay. So this is the lot as it is now. And there's some parking. There's some parking there now. And Habitat, I don't know, can you see my little?
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Habitat bought this lot. So these two lots were one property and they were condominiumized. And this sold first and this lot was up for sale. And Habitat purchased this lot and kind of cleared the title to be fee simple, got rid of the condominium on it. But this commercial property had some requirements for parking that hadn't been met at the time of the sale. So Habitat was amazing and was able to use their attorney and negotiate with the seller and the other property owner of the condominium, right? To figure out a plan of action to get that special permit completed and move on and dissolve the condominium. So once in a while, you'll hear us talk about some work by Habitat on the other parcel. We have to get that parking lot for the commercial property done, and Habitat is going to do that when it's on site, doing the site work for the homes. So not only are they solving an affordable housing problem for us, but they're solving a compliance problem too. So that just shows you how great a community partner is, Habitat is. So this is the proposed. I think this still had a septic system in it. John, you caught that last time, but that will be gone. That will not be. And this is 6 homes. I don't know if we have one that has them labeled 1, 2, and 3
Yeah,
bedroom.
so see the one with the landscaping, the colored one's a little better to see.
Okay.
I'll pull up here because I can't see there. Let me see. I have it here.
So. Okay. So this is Route 28. No, I'm sorry,
Nope.
this is Route
Yeah.
28. This is Route 28. And this unit right here is a one bedroom.
The one bedroom
And
cape.
it's gonna have unique architecture. So since it was on Route 28, the town asked for that unit to have a certain look on Route 28. They actually, at first, there was comment that its main door should open up on Route 28, but of course, the parking was going to be in the back. So it kind of has like a faux look to the front that's very different. Plus, it's a small little spot. So
It was appealing from 28.
Hmm?
It's more appealing from
it's
28.
more
not the
appealing
back of a
for
house.
Route
Yeah.
28. And we also are working out like a fencing plan so that we don't have a tall fence in between Route 28 and this unit. There was some concern that people would like a big fence, but because of how we want Route 28 to look, the town is kind of saying, well, no, we need to make it look like a residential area, and people will know that they're on Route 28 when they apply for the lottery. So
So there's lot 6, just where,
this one,
yeah, right, see where the red dot is? Just below the red dot is where the lots are.
okay.
So that's lot 6. And then it goes around the other way. 5 is coming toward me.
So this one is a 2-bedroom? Oh, that's a 3-bedroom. So these two units are 3 bedrooms. Oh, they must have upstairs, right?
Those are the
Okay.
capes,
This is a 1-bedroom.
Yep.
These are both
ranch.
2-bedroom ranches. That's so interesting. Okay.
I believe those are both. Actually, no, I think one's a 3-bedroom ranch and one's a
One's a
2.
3-bedroom
Yeah.
ranch? Okay, so here's your ranch. So this is a 2-bedroom. This is a 3-bedroom. And then there's lots of architectural plans after that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I think the last one is the one that's gonna face in the street, the one on lot 6. That's the last one in the packet.
I'm sorry, this is turned, but that's the 1-bedroom cape. That's gonna face.
That's lot 3. That's the one, the back.
Oh, that's lot
Yeah,
3.
that's not the one facing.
So lot 3 is not. These are the ones that are,
I find this on my screen here.
So we're looking for lot 6, right?
okay.
I think it's the very last plan in the pile of plans. Go ahead. keep- Oh, Nope,
Gets away from me.
here, hold on. I'm gonna
How
take,
far off the street is this gonna be? Out of curiosity, the 1-bedroom, how far from?
I'd have to look, let me see if I can see that. on
So
here.
it's,
Did that plan not get put in here? Hold on.
I don't know that we have lot 6.
that's lot 8.
5 to 7.
Yeah.
At 8.
Ah, it's the lot 6. Okay, I'll send that over. So you can see it's lot 6 to
Yeah.
make this.
It's been in every packet.
I know.
Front walkabout.
Yep. I will send that one
Looks
over.
a certain
Just-
way, but we have to
Yeah,
wait to see exactly what it really is.
Yeah.
yeah, I'll send that over after this.
You wanna paint a word picture of how it looks?
And
Does it look like a store or something?
No, it looks like a cape. It's just
with an unique,
side
yeah,
that, if I remember correctly, the side that faces 28 has a door in it.
A door?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look, there's a porch on the rear of that building, so it probably has a standard door as well. So it
Yeah.
looks like a front porch to the building, even
Okay.
though it is
Yeah.
a rear of the building.
It's like,
Instead of putting all the utilities back there, it looks like they're gonna be off, put on the side.
I see.
Yeah, I'll send one over. Sorry about
it's
that.
just to give that feel that
Yeah,
the entranceway is on the front,
Yeah.
but actually the real entranceway is on the back.
okay.
Some of the comments that I had, submitted that we have to, hopefully the state will approve, right? Is that the level of median income that we're targeting, remains in perpetuity. So the state is fine with everything being under 80% of area median income. But the units that sell initially at 60% of area median income, they have not in other developments made those in perpetuity at 60% of AMI. They've allowed them to go up to be resold at 80% of AMI. So we're going to ask, because of the deep subsidy that we're giving, that the 60% units stay at 60%. And we do have a history in town of having those things be in perpetuity.
So there's 6 units and some are gonna be 80 and some 60? Why?
3 will be 60 and 3 will be
Okay.
80. Mhm.
I didn't get,
Yeah, and then the way the
Clearly,
way the
yeah.
universal deed rider is drafted, they like these all 60% units upon resale to go to 80%.
I
So
see.
Mary's made that request, so that'll be something that she'll work with, I guess, getting that request into the
You're
deed.
hoping you can get it so that that 3 and 3 split is permanent.
Right. Because we find that we just have to keep buying them down in the
Right.
future. And we talked about that a little bit in our standards, that the rents, we wanted to target 65% of AMI.
Mm-hmm.
We're fine with them for those 60% units to serve households that are a little bit higher, but we want the sale price to be kept down.
Right,
It gives an affordability gap.
yeah.
Just gives more people opportunity. The other thing we're asking for is local preference, which we probably, we've gotten that approved by the state before. And Habitat has had success in having a veteran preference for one of the units. So we're hoping that Habitat comes through with that for us.
I think Brewster just had one. Brewster just did a veteran's preference.
And there were just little red lines that I did that they were incorporated. So what happens now, and Noreen and I can help answer any questions. What happens now is, hopefully the committee, either at this meeting or a future meeting, is ready to take a vote. There has to be an affirmative vote of the committee to authorize the chair to sign the application. So we need a vote to approve the application and authorize the chair to sign.
We're voting on the draft application we have in front of us, knowing that that is not 100% finalized, correct?
Well, it's missing one set of plans, so you can wait for that set of plans. You can authorize the chair approve the set of plans themselves. You can authorize the approval of this application, provided that town council and the chair agrees to it all. Any level you want. You can say, nope, we want to have it come back once we see those plans. So,
So at what point does it come back to us?
any point you want it to. So you can say, yes, we approve of this and we authorize the
to.
chair to sign and approve any, small changes. Or you can say, nope, we want it further vetted by town council and get that set of plans for the unit that's on Route 28 and wait for that. We have plenty of time. You can put it on your next agenda.
And the select board still needs to look at it too, correct?
They usually look at it after
Right.
this, and if there's a significant change, I would bring it back. let's say the select board said, no, absolutely not. We're only gonna have 3 units. I would definitely bring it back to you.
Considering the applicant, I don't feel that we need to wait.
Yeah, between our site visit and this packet, I feel pretty comfortable with what we've seen going forward.
Yeah, I would agree.
I do too, but are there any repercussions if this is approved and then there's a problem down the road? I'm just playing devil's
So,
advocate. I
right,
want to
so
approve it.
let's say, so you're one board that has to approve it before it goes up to the state. Okay. The other board, that needs to see the application is the Affordable Housing Trust, only because it's in the agreement between Habitat and the trust for the funding, right? But the Housing Committee, as the Community Housing Partnership, needs to vote yes. So we usually get that vote accomplished first. Then it goes to the Board of Selectmen with like a cover letter saying it's been to the Housing Committee. I'm also gonna bring it to the trust before bringing it to the Select Board. Then the Select Board votes on it. Then it has a letter of recommendation from the town to the state. Am I doing this right? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Then the whole application is submitted to the state and the state reviews it. And if that works out, they issue a letter of eligibility, right?
They do a site visit. So they'll get this and then they'll send this back to you to say, here's an
After the site
application.
visit,
Yeah, here's 30, you
Okay.
have 30 days for comments. This is the
and it goes
application.
back to the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Selectmen then send it back to you to make sure, right? It keeps going around and around and around.
By Pony Express or what?
Yeah.
No wonder we're not starting this till 2027.
So
So-
there's plenty of checks and balances.
Plenty of checks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plenty of checks and balance. The legal documents that Habitat has sent over to me to review are the model regulatory agreements that and deed writer that we always use. So yes, I have to send it up to town council, but they're like fill in the blank. These documents, you can't even change the words except for the blanks. So I'm very confident the town council will say yes to it. And then after the site eligibility letter is issued and the town has 30 days to have any comment. Oh, that's
Public comment as
public
well.
comment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then the state will say to Habitat, okay, now you're ready to go to the ZBA. And then then there's a slightly different application to the Zoning Board of Appeals because they are the special permit granting authority for comprehensive permits. And then I will keep you updated because it might be nice to have somebody from the Housing Committee, go to the ZBA meeting and state, what you have voted on and state your support. So,
State also likes to see town members at the site visit. So there'll be notification as to the
Okay.
site visit. They like to see, they really want to see that the town has a buy-in and that they're supporting the project other than paper. So
you'll all be invited.
invited to walk across the street or look out your window.
And we have to remember to invite the person who owns the other lot.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to remember. So,
So we have to figure out how to make a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to have the chair sign this in support of the Community Housing Committee
I second that.
Second,
and to approve the application.
to approve the application.
okay, all in favor, Greg,
Aye.
Drew,
Aye.
Myra?
Aye.
John, I, Deirdre,
Aye.
Josh,
Aye.
Lee?
Lee, aye.
Okay,
Over and done with for this, for the moment.
Thank
right?
you.
Step,
That was very fast. Was there a motion in there to sign a letter of support too?
yes.
Okay, got it.
It was to sign the application. So do you want to make a motion to sign to authorize the chair to sign a letter of support?
I guess we should do that, yeah. Make a motion to authorize the chair to sign a letter of support.
Second.
second,
Second.
second, roll call, Greg,
Yes.
Yes.
Drew.
Yes.
Myra?
Yeah.
John, yes, Deirdre,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Lee?
Lee, yes.
I would be curious just to see the the unit, the one we're missing.
Absolutely. I'll send it over after when I get,
You
right
can
when I
send
get
that
back.
over.
Okay, so Josh, you made the second motion, right?
Drew made the second one.
Who did?
I seconded the second motion.
And who made the,
I made the first motion
okay, sorry.
Next one
and Drew
was
seconded.
Josh and Drew seconded.
Sorry.
They're working in tandem.
The application in there. Okay.
Smoothly oiled machine. Everything.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Depending how long your meeting is, Mary, I might be able to get you this before I.
going to be a
Before you
good
leave.
project.
Hey, you might be back in your office. Okay, great. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody. I know that was a lot to read.
Okay, next item, muck housing.
Okay. So. In your packet, you have the preferred program recommendation that we currently have. It's been kind of gone, I think everybody's done a great job, you know, having the moderate and elevated, and we're all on the same page for that. It's when we come down to the other important matters discussed. There's just a small little caveat. And so it says so this has been before the Housing Committee and the trust.
Mhm.
Everything in black, both parties, you know, both groups agree to. So under the fourth bullet point in black, which everybody agrees to, is develop already disturbed areas and leave forested areas undeveloped. The CHC went forward and said, except for additional home ownership units near or along Chickadee Lane. Back to black, everybody agrees with keep development away from drinking water wells. The trust, however, in lieu of the CHC's phrase about Chickadee Lane, wanted to say, consider additional areas for home ownership provided there is no conflict with sensitive environmental resources or economic development activities.
So is that saying additional units to what we've got already
Mhm.
outlined in the okay.
Yep. That's what they're saying. That they're in a way acknowledging the idea of having something more over at Chickadee Lane. They just didn't want it to interfere with any economic development activities in that area.
I think there was concern about being that specific, you know, for Chickadee Lane and putting it right out there. Seems to be the concern.
Right. So
I
we
guess I think we have to go along with the vaguer language,
Yeah.
right? Isn't that sort of obvious?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
do we need to do a motion deal to
So I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Drew. We need to go along with what?
the trust's language?
Okay.
Just slightly more vague than our
to
specific
make it
along
vague.
Chickadee Lane.
They decided, and I don't see why we would quibble with that, you know? I don't see that would accomplish.
You know, I agree.
Yeah. You? That
What-
seem-
what-
Does that seem reasonable what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would move that we adopt the language that was put together by the trust.
I would second that.
Okay, roll call vote, Greg,
Yes.
Drew,
Yes.
Myra,
Yes.
John, yes, Deirdre,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Lee.
Yes,
okay.
Wonderful.
Can I just mention something on an aside to this?
You.
Yeah, I found this in the Globe, 2 Sundays ago. And maybe some of you folks know about it. Martha's Vineyard Hospital is building an apartment
Yes.
Building.
I do know about
Yep.
it, yeah.
for their employees. Because they can't. So I just wanted to make sure that we all knew that, because I think, having a place for fire department and first responders and even people that work at the hospital, I had to wait 6 months to get a doctor's appointment. I mean, it's incredible. there's no doctors, there's no people here, so I just think it's something that we should all keep in mind. I think it's important that there's some housing set aside for your municipal employees.
Yep, and you see that in the moderate and the
Yeah,
elevated.
I just, again, I
Yep.
just wanted to kind of echo that a little bit. $38 million they're spending.
Has the hospital here ever considered that?
I don't know. I know they're expanding.
Cape Cod Hospital as a network does own multiple units throughout the Cape. I don't think they're particularly disclosed. I don't know if it's multifamilies or single families or what, but they do own some housing.
Hmm. So there's one other red line area to look for us to look at?
Nope,
No?
that was it.
That's it.
We're done. So now, I'll warm you up with this. The BSC group, I think has been hired by the town to assist the Matakees Utilization Committee. And we do have the chair here. I don't know if you want to come up and join us, but, and so I just got this today. I think it's been around a little bit longer than that, but it does have, a work plan, right? And it talks about working with the different muck pods, like the housing pod, and I have been in touch with, Heather, right? Heather Gould, just today by email saying, here's the materials up, what we had with the most current from the muck pod, housing pod. So it looks like, it's following what you would think would, be good to do. They're going to study what we've already accomplished. Take a look at the building conditions. I think that we're at task 3 where we're benchmarking. It's like task 3, number 2, benchmarking.
So
Um,
I take it that all of the various committees have submitted their plans at this point?
Not yet. Oh, come on up, Sharon. Yeah, 'cause
Say a couple of things. We just had a meeting this past Thursday and met with the consultant, and even that schedule is going to be redone
Okay.
a little bit because there's some conflicts about meeting with the Board of Selectmen, their dates and our dates and everybody's dates. So, but what we ended up working on was a survey for the public. And so we hope to get that back so that we can get the survey going out to the general public. There were lots of questions about the different parts of the survey, so they've gone back to kind of redo and maybe eliminate 1 or 2 of the questions or add some additional things. In terms of your discussion about the hospital, I think they even use time sharing. So there are some time sharing units in Hyannis that aren't, that some are being turned into housing. But until that happens, I think they have the right to rent some of those properties for doctors and especially traveling nurses and that kind of thing. What else would you like to know?
So I'll show you what I'm looking at,
Okay.
right?
Oh, the phasing, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, so, because now I just learned what benchmarking is last week. Rick. I was like, oh, okay. So,
Has to do with comparing, is that it?
Right.
well, I would say examples, right?
Examples,
Like
yeah.
that's what I would say.
Right.
Okay, so.
So that was
Um,
their initial.
We don't have to, I mean, we can keep going forward with the benchmarking. The survey is on a different schedule.
Correct,
Okay,
in a different path.
okay,
Because now what we do want, however, is everybody's final thing. So it's really important that you've done the language and that you're finishing up the benchmarking.
Yep.
Because they love to see the benchmarking.
Yep.
Even the Muck has done some benchmarking
Okay,
of different groups. And so we want to get all that in so we can kind of say we're finished with the gathering.
okay,
And then we can work with the consultant when they have additional questions. But we're going to work, our committee is going to also work on making sure if we have any questions, we either invite you in or maybe just get some additional data,
right,
so that we can feel comfortable that what we're going to be looking at is going to be the best thing that we can do.
right.
So.
Okay, so we should just keep going forward.
Absolutely, yeah.
I
Good.
have a question regarding the survey. I think I've mentioned it before. I love surveys. How is that survey gonna be published or introduced to the public?
Well, it'll be via all of the town's efforts, just like the planning board. Put it out and we'll be putting it also, there also will be some hard copies that will go out to the senior center, the library, the town. So there will be some hard copies, so they will be having to handle some of this and record it and get the numbers.
It'll be
in.
online on the.
Oh, online,
our
definitely. Yeah, online.
So will it be publicized to the public like in a radio ad? I've heard a lot of town of Yarmouth radio ads lately.
Right. Well,
I just think the more respondents, the better. Yeah.
Right, right. And we're hoping to get a big blitz out of it and it'll be out there for, and there's a debate about how long, whether 3 weeks, 4 weeks, of that kind of thing. And we hope to have help from the library and the senior center.
We have a communications
Oh, absolutely.
manager.
Right.
It usually goes out on the top page of the website, and that's town news and updates. And you can sign up for those email notifications.
We had we also had talked in the past early on in terms of our own committee as to how we can help. And individually, if, we decide to do something more than that, we may do that. Have some of us go and help people fill it out, but do it online. But now that they're willing to do some of the recording, the data, we'll see how that goes. So, yeah.
I'm so happy to see a survey on the list in the
Well,
work plan.
yeah, we've been talking about wanting to do public outreach for some time. And so now we get an opportunity to finally do it. And the main thing will be the survey, but then later on, we'll be adding an invite to public to come and participate. We're having discussions as to what kind of thing, like the Yarmouth planning.
The local comprehensive plan?
Right.
Right.
They did that whole process and broke out into groups.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of that, but so we're still working on that. There's another kind of workshop that they've done too for the which is in this room, having boards up, having the housing information, the recreation information, and having people vote, kind of thing too on it. So it's still a process that we're going through, but it definitely is going to be started with the survey for the public outreach. And I'm hoping to get a letter out to all of the neighborhoods so that they will be invited to the process. And because I think that's important that the neighborhood be part of it. So hopefully,
Right.
yeah, we'll get
I-
that straightened out.
Has there been any negative feedback from the neighborhood at all?
No, not that I'm aware of. There were a couple letters to, I think, Bill early on in terms of, but he answered them because they really weren't sure of what the process was. They thought something was already decided, which obviously there was no decision. So that was kind of handled in-house. But those really were the only objections that I know of.
When will all the committee recommendations be done?
Well, shortly, yours was hinging on some of this information you just did today. And then the economic development one is still not a finished third piece. They've done two, but I think that's being corralled as well. So I may be wrong. No, I apologize. They're all set. I apologize to them. No, they're all set. It's recreation in terms of getting that final. And the other part of recreation is they're doing field study at the time. So that won't be done until August. So part of that might be coming in later.
Right.
So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this goes and internally for ourselves, how good we're gonna be at, I'm interested in the questions being asked. Okay, if you do this here, what do we, because I've heard different things when I go to different committees. It's kind of interesting. So somebody wants it all up front, somebody wants it in the back, somebody wants it over this side, somebody, and so,
Well, what's
Which
nice
is-
is they don't want to clear the whole lot.
right.
So
and then
that's
you-
progress right there.
But you never know. I mean, if people want a lot, a multi-use, not only housing, but
Mhm.
different kinds of housing,
Mhm.
recreation, depending on what the kind of recreation, is it tournament ready or is it a more community level
Mm.
project? And those are the kind of questions we're asking the public too.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see what everybody says. And then based on that, we kind of take a look, but also look at the data and say, okay. And I think most people know that housing is very much needed in the town, so you certainly will be in the top part of the conversation, I'm sure. But there's a lot of economic development push as well, so see how this goes.
There was some talk about expanding the existing condition survey. Because I've read it, and when you
Yeah.
read it, it really goes system by system. It doesn't really tell you what parts of the building, and we were talking about maybe having a more in-depth look at the gymnasium and the auditorium in terms of the condition of those two areas specifically.
And that is a discussion that's
Yeah.
going on because some people feel start new, take it down, but then what do you do about all of the use it's getting right now? So there's a whole bunch of different parts to consider. And the other thing is there have been the demolition costs have been added to the site. I don't know if anybody's taken a look at that, but also the hazardous waste materials have been added to the site. And when you start looking at gym and auditorium, there are some things there too. So it may be more, you're correct, more analyzing. But so we'll see how this goes. But some of those questions, the cost, I think was like 3 million for the demolition cost. So I don't know if that included the gym though, and the auditorium, but certainly the other buildings.
Is that online somewhere that you?
Yes, it's on the link that we have.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And also the hazardous waste. There's a hazardous waste parcel, a piece that comes up.
I think it's safe to say those things are on the list, but not in BSC's proposal here.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Not yet.
Yeah, this is sort of their first
Yeah.
letter out. They started the beginning of April, but a lot of their energy was based on trying to figure out what it is they're dealing with. So they were reading all of the materials that are on the site. And now, since we wanted to do the survey as quickly as we could, that's our focus right at the moment, to get the survey, to get it out, and then keep working on our concurrently, I guess, in terms of just trying to find out what are the things we might need to consideration. And the closer that you do have for benchmarking is greatly appreciated, so we don't have to go dig it out either. So, and there were some parts that were not suggested. I'm not saying here in housing, but in other areas. And so the question would be, do we want to pursue that a little bit more? In which we have the right to do, so we may do that too. But you guys have been great and you've produced a great product, I think.
Is,
So-
are any other pods drafting up any sketches of the land?
When you talk about by placing something on it, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I don't think,
That was really pivotal to the housing pod to kind of narrow it down. So I,
Density, yeah.
right.
yeah, like it,
Yeah.
that was really, really important
Yeah.
well, if we placed it here, we felt like these are all the things we could do.
Yeah.
So I am gonna ask for resources to get that sketch.
An idea of how much parking takes,
Mm-mm.
1.5 spaces times the 64 or
Mm,
the 124, do you know
right.
how much?
Good estimate.
Huh?
1.5 times the number of units is generally a good estimate.
No, I understand that, but how much acreage that takes?
Mhm.
That's kind of the,
Right, that's
I'm
probably
looking
gonna,
for.
that and, um, the impact on getting other subsidies from the state, that's gonna really,
right,
determine the final number of units we're gonna target,
yeah.
so.
If you just use a number about 350 square feet per space,
Okay,
that would give you a rough idea of the parking and any travel lanes.
350 square feet?
Yep.
Okay. I'll write that down when I get back to my pen.
So that accounts for the space and,
That accounts for access
oh,
to and from the spaces, and the spaces themselves are roughly 9 by 18, and then the rest of it is circulation space getting to and from the spaces.
yeah.
Okay.
There might be some opportunity for shared parking. Do you know what I mean? So you're gonna have, this is what we did over at Simpkins School, right? There was some question about, oh, the school, the old school's parking lot was used for the baseball games that were held after school and on the weekends. So that was a stipulation when we developed that land into residential, that 50% of the parking was going to be exclusively for the residents. The other 50% was going to be shared between people who wanted to use the field and people who lived there. And it seemed, and I know it's senior housing, but it seemed to have worked out. So there could be dedicated lot, like parking spots for the residents only, and then kind of this other area that people that live there use it. Hopefully they're using it only at night so that when the fields are available, are in use, people can park there. So
Interesting. Yeah.
I would
To
recommend,
work out.
that helps to save
Yeah.
space.
strongly recommend dedicated parking in some sort for residents. Parking fights are nightmares.
It could be, but you could say, okay, everybody gets at least one. You know what I mean? And then you go from there. So these developers know based on this the if it's age restricted or not, the income levels, right? And the mix of bedrooms, they know exactly how many parking spots they really need. There's going to be a number we're going to require them to build, and then they know back of the envelope how many they're going to really need. Because I'll tell you, people who make only 30% of the area median income typically do not have cars, right? But we have to set aside a parking space and a half for them, but they just don't have cars. So they promised me it would work out on Route 28 and it has. So knock on wood,
Yeah.
it'll work out on Higgins Kroll.
You cross your fingers, Mary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you for doing all the work that you've done and hopefully you will be rewarded at the end. That's all I can say.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna have this, we're gonna have a cover memo, this, the benchmarking, and then a sketch
That would be great.
from that meeting that we're all here with the plans and the Legos. Remember, we had the Legos? It was that day, and we'll just sketch it out. Hopefully Barrett Planning will do that for us, and off it will go to you.
Yep.
But you
And-
don't need that before the survey, right?
No.
Okay, good. That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that's why I was
Well-
asking all
well,
those questions.
We are looking for it to be done, so.
Yeah.
Conversations with the Board of Selectmen can include that.
Yeah, so when do you think that's happening?
Well, the schedule's being rewritten.
Okay.
Because of their schedule too.
Okay.
So I can't promise you what date, but
All right,
yeah, as soon as you can, would be good
Yeah.
to have it done. but-
okay,
And this is yours, so I won't
Okay.
take it.
all right.
I'll leave that.
You probably have that copy anyway, so.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Sharon.
All right, so that was the warm up, right? So we're so excited because we have a professional planning group that's working with Muck, so that's good. So I'll take responsibility to get that sketch done with Alexis based on that meeting. So what we need to do is we need to prioritize what benchmarking. So you have two packets. One has 10 examples and I put them in order of smaller to larger. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Alexis from Barrett gave us 6 more examples. So I didn't know if you've looked at these, if there was anything that really stood out into something that, hey, this is what we want at the site.
I mean, I looked through this and my personal, just from probably an aesthetic view is. I'm kind of opposed to big monster buildings, kind of like smaller attached buildings, but that's again, personal preference.
So like a
Having housing
monster
there is most
building would
important.
be number 3, fair.
Yep. Right.
That's actually a combination though. You
Yes.
know, it's got both.
I feel like the neighbors would probably be more in favor of smaller buildings as well, but.
But I liked the sea captain's row. Thing about that is that people would walk to their parking. Do you know what I mean? That's the cottage community model. They would walk. The areas in between the houses are little parks and sidewalks and stuff like that, green space. And then the parking is away.
So I think walking is good.
Unless you're a senior or
Why would-
disabled
yeah, you're
or
right.
XYZ that you cannot walk long
Yeah, I
distances.
probably will be in that boat in one of these days, so,
And the first one, the south tier Oak Bluffs,
Okay.
that's a 3-story building.
which one, Mary? I'm sorry.
The first on the front
South
page,
Tier. Oak
south
Bluffs.
tier.
Gotcha.
Well, we also have to remember, we wanted elevator access in at least some of the
Mhm.
buildings.
So that would be accomplished in number 4, Yarmouth Commons.
I don't think Yarmouth Commons is a bad example for
Overall look and feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I sincerely think that we should just take number 9 and 10 off the table completely.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
And the Hanover's the one down, like
Hanover.
the BJ's.
By BJ's, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
What do you
9
think
and
about
10 are
For a larger,
too gigantic.
for the one on the larger, what do you think about 8 Heritage at Bedford Springs?
I actually checked off 8 as one of my favorites.
Yeah, I think 8 is, I think 8 is actually pretty well done.
What was,
Looks like there's parking pretty much at every building.
Now, if I'm correct, this is a chapter 40B, so only 25% is affordable. But I'm like, why not a pool? Right? They,
also
like,
check-
you look at these ones, they're in everywhere. Why not a pool?
Yeah.
So,
That
it looks
is
like
ni-
they have a
that's good
nice,
for the big one, yeah.
it looks like a nice little community center
Oh.
with a little pool behind and.
Wouldn't it make sense to have in one of the other, the non-housing pods might suggest a community pool so that we wouldn't need a.
Oh,
pool.
yeah. Great idea. That's true.
And I know Hanover, especially looking at these pictures, does look like a monstrosity, but if you've ever been there, especially the interior garden area of it is absolutely gorgeous.
Hmm.
It is really nice when you're there. I don't think the pictures quite do it justice. So it's always worth seeing these places in person after looking at the pictures of them.
Mhm.
Where is Mashpee Village?
That's on Old Barnstable in Mashpee. It's across from Southport.
Oh, okay.
And it's an older development.
It's been around for a while.
Yeah,
There's
it
a
looks like it.
multifamily buildings in the center of the ring with single families on the outside of the ring. It's a really nice kind of mixed use area.
The pictures, I should have gone and got better pictures, but of course, because their apartment buildings are only 2-story.
Yeah.
And there's not like one big massive building. They're kind of like broken up. And right around them are the ranches, 2 and 3 bedroom ranches. And it just seems to be the kind of place that whenever kind of like I go in there, there's people talking outside. It's very friendly. However they meant to design it, it really attracts people to be outside and talk to each other.
Yes.
It might be because some of the parking is a little bit, they have to walk to their,
There's some parking issues there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like number
site-
5.
The site development is equally important as the building development and heritage. I mean, having that central kind of area and the building surrounding it, as does Yarmouth Commons. Every time I've driven in and around Yarmouth Commons, there are always kids playing in that kind of center area and
That is true.
I think it would be just something that would make folks comfortable if it looked like something that had already been built in town
so they can go look.
and
at
they
it.
can see that it's working well.
So number 5, somebody talked about number 5 and
That was me. Yeah, I number 5 was my second choice.
that's I don't understand that project is a lot. I think there was an existing building. Do you, Myra?
There's an existing decommissioned motel that will
motel,
be
yeah,
torn
there's a
down.
motel
Yeah.
there.
Oh, it's gonna get.
It's one of our that's one of Hack's
So it's gonna
properties.
get completely torn down. Okay, because I didn't understand.
Well, Governor
see
Prince,
the red.
that was the motel.
It's green and there's red. The red is back here.
Yeah.
Okay, it's kind of. So some of these I did a very, quick
Yeah.
email search on these. But number 5, it looks like this brown building are these here. Is that right, Josh?
I believe
Yeah.
so.
But the red building is at the top of the illustrated plan. So some of them I couldn't find like a plan of it. It was just a rendition of it.
Just out of curiosity, are they going for the mixed use for the whole property? That was discussed early in the.
I'm not directly included in that project, but last I knew, it's just going to be housing.
Housing.
Oh, okay. All right.
I prefer having the buildings broken up a little bit more into like Yarmouth Commons or Heritage, where you're not having kind of a massive facade.
Okay.
I would agree with that. And I think that's one of the reasons that I think even though Heritage number 8 is bigger, that it seems approachable is it's a large site, but
Lot
it
of green
does
space.
have a lot of green space. It's broken up. It's got variations in the facade. It's not just a flat.
And it's
building.
inviting looking.
Yeah.
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 So I'm kind of hearing for the moderate scale, Yarmouth Commons, and for the elevated, Heritage. And I think that's enough if we just give one each.
But that's only looking at the rentals though. It's not really looking at what we want the layout for the homes.
Okay,
That is a good point.
so is that
That's
that
a
consensus for the
benchmark, right?
rental piece? Thank you, Lee. Number 4 for the moderate, and number 8 for the elevated.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even if we don't go, even if we end up with the moderate, we could still do parts of 8.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because there is something enticing about the layout. I doubt very much that we're gonna get approval for a swimming pool. But, you know,
For
we could think on it.
Well, if you give enough to and this might not be 100% affordable, right? So if it was only 25% affordable, right? Then you can see developments at that number are providing pools to their residents. So
If a
Is that
pool,
what we're aiming for? Only 25% affordable, not higher than that?
it could be. I think we wanted didn't we want between 25 and 50%? Let me see.
Yeah, can't remember.
What's in the community
Mixed
building,
income.
Yarmouth Commons?
Mixed income, 25 to 50% of the units being affordable. So if it was 60 units like that and 25% were affordable, then they could have, the property management company could carry a pool. Saying, and a playground.
would committee
community
members
building.
get a pool pass?
I know, really no. So what's in the community rooms, like for Yarmouth Commons and Yarmouth Garden?
Yeah.
There's like a fitness area, and then like an area with a kitchen that you can have gatherings and parties at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on the overall site development, that piece may go away if you have a common area,
Mhm.
that
Where, yeah.
Where,
But it is super nice to have that because it helps neighbors get along, right? When they have the big birthday party in the community room and not next door to each other. So
Yeah.
it just seems to work, and people do use the fitness area.
Mhm.
They do. I know that other places like Pine Hills, I don't know if you've been to Pine Hills, they have a lot of apartment buildings, and each one has they kind of, the buildings surround a pool that everybody uses, but each building has this community area, and there'll be like one with a big screen TV. So, you can have Super Bowl parties there and stuff like that. So with respect to benchmarking, the home ownership ones, should we just,
I don't see anything in here for.
I didn't do that.
So, no, that's fine.
You
I
know,
mean,
Well, even something like,
the
It's a-
Habitat project here.
Could we
yeah, that's what I was
do the
gonna.
habitat model? Do you want me to just, I can just give them this.
Maybe.
I think the single family,
Thanks for saying to me, okay.
yeah, I think single family in general is gonna have a lot less contention about the looks of it. I think any builder's gonna do a traditional Cape Cod styled, not a Cape, but a Cape
Right.
Cod styled home.
Shingles and
Right.
What did you say? Two?
A mix of ranches and capes, right?
Okay.
Was there any talk about duplexes for the ownerships?
At this
Yeah.
time, no, I would wait.
I couldn't remember.
If we start to run out of space or butting up against a sensitive environmental area, like, let's say we're required to be 50 feet away, but Concom really asks us to be 150 feet away, right? Then you might want to attach the buildings, but I'd wait to see what we can fit.
Yeah, I would not want to see duplexes. I think I voiced that early on. For
Yeah.
ownership, there's too much room for contention in a setup like that.
We only considered it once, Lee, when we were looking at a parcel of land that had a river, literally a river running through it.
Okay.
So you can.
Romantic.
Yeah. So, so
Yeah.
that was when Habitat was like, okay, we'll do attached units, but they don't like it either. They like the
Yeah.
family detached.
And nowadays you have to watch out for those little rivers, because my son had a little brook, babbling brook beside his house that overflowed and washed a car into the creek and everything else, so flooded.
you're right.
basement. So,
Okay, so I'll work with Barrett on that. It sounds like I should submit it, though. I don't think we should wait.
does Habitat have any other home ownerships that are built in clusters? Because we're talking about the home ownership.
We have Virginia, but I think we should submit the one that they're working up for 1121 Route 28, just because it has the new Cape with
Okay.
superior architecture, the standard Cape that they do, and they have ranches.
Okay,
And I think the cul-de-sac is set up
Yes.
nice, and it has some.
And it works well for the areas we're talking about that on the site.
Yes.
Yeah.
You remember I cut it out to scale? Kathy Williams and I worked on that, and it
Mm-hmm.
fit.
Mhm.
Yep.
but that's a very small piece of land. It could be something, if there is the space available, something that could be a little bit more spread out, but I think we were talking about the home ownership, perhaps cluster.
Yeah, I think because the area that's disturbed is actually kind of small.
Right.
But we're talking more about the design of the homes at this point, not necessarily the layout of where they are.
I mean, this is just benchmarking. This is what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got your benchmarking down good. I mean, for someone who's
I understand the
Yeah.
word. I'm just
Say
like,
benchmarking constantly.
use it all the time.
But that's not, I'm not gonna mark it that. That's not, I'm not
on your resume now.
Yeah, I got it. Benchmark.
benchmarker.
I will say that
Benchmarking.
if the rentals for local workforce housing does fly, we could consider duplexes for rentals. Because
So do you want for the workforce rentals, did you want to just benchmark with the Habitat?
we could,
Yeah, I just was thinking just to keep it simple.
Mhm.
yeah,
Have both of them kind of have the same style. It's nice to have some ranches because that way they can be fully accessible.
Yes.
That's really important. I know.
I think at the end of the day that we're gonna be fighting for every square foot of property we can get for every use on that piece of land. So,
Yeah.
when you talk about single family housing, it would be nice to have it, but it chews up the land pretty quickly too. And
Maybe we'll get a little bit of it.
Yeah.
If we're
Yeah.
lucky.
no,
right?
it'd be,
Right. If you notice, that's the smaller.
I'm gonna actually lead in to my home consortium report because they did a survey and affordable single family homes was like the number one
Sure.
thing that people were asking about, not rentals, but buying.
Mm.
I mean, it was close, but buying homes as opposed to a rental affordable housing was number one.
And you saw the studies that they.
You were in the meeting,
that
that's
they-
right, yeah.
Right, and then they thought also, this was different, but they thought also that younger people would stay in multifamily housing in urban setting, right? They seem to love it more than any other generation, the millennials. And
Oh.
even the millennials are moving to suburbia for the single family detached home to raise their family.
Well, you mean you get to a certain point when you're younger, you want to be around people,
Right.
then you're like, all right, enough of these folks. I want to sit in the backyard by myself, right?
well, I'm a big advocate for home ownership because I think we've been promoting a whole lot of rental,
I agree.
not enough home ownership, and Habitat's been the home ownership people. And there hasn't been I don't know that we've developed much of it at all through the Affordable Housing Trust. So.
Right.
And,
It's time for rental again.
and home ownership just builds, it builds people's personal wealth, but just, it's a great thing for people. And I think a lot of younger people don't understand that. And, I think they're starting to a little bit more.
It's more about finding at least 20% down on a house
Well,
that's
that was
now
number
half a
three.
million
That was the number
dollars.
3, Josh.
Yep.
Well,
Down
when
payment.
you buy affordable, it's a different story.
Yeah, you don't build wealth in that quite that same way when you're
Yeah,
buying an affordable house too.
True, but it's better than shuffling around like I did for 40 years on the Cape, so.
Oh, absolutely.
So Mary, you're going to,
I am going to work with Barrett Planning to get a final package in. It's a minute. We're ready. I think we're ready to go.
So now I understand why you sent all those copies of units. I had no idea what you called those muck. I had no idea what was going on here. So good. Benchmark muck, okay.
We're benchmarking, Lee.
Yeah, I get that now.
Wednesday, Lee, I didn't either.
Well, I've been lost in space here grading papers. Everything's due on Friday. By
Oh,
noon.
my goodness.
Still have so much work to do. I'm having anxiety attacks.
so Mary, you're going to pass this along. We don't need to formally act on it at this point at all.
Nope, I'm gonna pass it along. I think the trust meets next week. So I'm gonna hopefully have it ready for the trust to give its blessing. Unfortunately, you guys are a little bit out of sync, but that's okay. And then if they seem happy with it, I'm just gonna put it in.
Okay.
If we have some big discrepancy, then we will convene you all again, but I think we're good.
So, any new business?
Nope.
Okay, reports and action. Chair, I have nothing. Home Consortium?
Home Consortium, yes, and I'm gonna say mea culpa, I just misspoke. The number one issue in their survey was not affordable buying, that was number 2, was off by 3%. Affordable rentals was 79% of respondents. Affordable home buying was 76%.
Oh,
Then number 3, help with the deposit to buy was 47%. So I apologize for that. And they had 440 respondents. The last time they did this survey was 5 years ago, and they had 10 times the number of people. They had 40 people who responded the last time they did this. And so, so 10 times more people responded.
That's the most interesting part of it.
Related to that, I was trying to pull up a table that my agency had for lotteries recently. For the last homeownership lottery we did, we had about 40 applicants, and for the last rental lottery we had almost 700.
Wow.
And a lot of that is because even if somebody can afford the monthly payments on a homeownership lottery unit, low income unit, having the credit or the ability to do the down payment and closing costs is such a huge barrier that people really are looking for those rental opportunities as well.
There's a young woman that I know that made it a point to me that she goes, I can afford to pay $2,000 a month in rent. I can afford to pay that in a mortgage. I just can't afford to put money together to get it.
Right.
So
down payment assistance.
I'm spending
Okay.
so much on rent. So
I think it really depends on what type of loan you get. Because I put very little money down and I didn't have a whole lot of closing costs, and I actually got it subsidized in my mortgage for about 5 years. So it really depends on what program you qualify for. None of that was a hardship in my experience. And I didn't have a lot of money, so.
the 2025 funding amount for the Home Consortium will probably be announced at the meeting on Thursday.
Can you say that figure again? I'm sorry, 2,000?
The funding amount that they will have annually for this year will probably be announced.
Oh,
in
the
our meeting
allocations.
On Thursday
Okay,
morning,
okay.
right, this Thursday morning. They expect it to be about $400,000. And as I just mentioned, the next meeting is this Thursday at 9 AM.
Now, are you the alternate or oh, we have an alternate.
I'm the alternate.
You're the alternate. Okay, sorry.
Haven't been to one yet, but technically.
Well, it takes so long. The person who runs the program, Rini Hammond, things take so long. And I was like, oh, I better check to make sure we have
She's good.
we have an
She's
alternate.
good.
Okay.
Um,
All right. So the Affordable
With
Housing.
Housing Authority.
So the Housing Authority, as it turned out, we don't have a response to our request for proposals.
No
this time
response.
around, no. But we're having our meeting tomorrow and we'll decide how to go forward.
So how many packets were picked up? 6, I think,
No. I
but
don't think
but
it was.
nobody responded.
Okay.
Planning Board?
Affordable Housing Trust.
Oh, Affordable Housing. I always skip by that.
We meet next week. We might have, we put out an RFP a while ago. We had one response for acquisition of real property for affordable housing with a high priority for a blighted or underutilized property. And we did get a response that was whipped together in, I think, 6 business days or something like that. So that project proponent, I think, is ready to come in next week to the trust after lots and lots of comments from staff on their proposal. So we will see if the trust is ready to make a decision about that money or not. There's pre-development funds too
Mhm.
that the trust can, use. So we'll see how far along we get. I am meeting with the developer Thursday to see what their latest set of plans are. So it's exciting. So it is a blighted property on Route 28, and it would be nice to
Yes, all of them.
move that along.
Great.
Anything else, Myra?
I can't remember.
Planning Board?
Planning Board, we had a really busy week last week. Kathy Williams did a fabulous presentation to the select board. She talked for about 2 hours about the local comprehensive plan, which is really taking shape. And then in our regular meeting the next day, we actually had a full house. We were discussing the possibilities of revisions to the zoning code. And it was precipitated by the lobster men.
Of course.
Yeah.
And while nobody could, the board could not do anything for his immediate predicament, we talked about possibilities of changing the zoning code, discussing it and getting it ready for a presentation at the town meeting next fall. Presumably there will be a town meeting then. And also another change that we're looking at is boat storage, which is currently inconvenient for a lot of people. And to change it so that in season, you could put one boat in your driveway and not have to stick it behind your house. And then also the other zoning issue is to fix the town rules on ADUs, because the whole thing that was resolved has been overridden by the new state law. So that was a big part of that meeting. And then the next part was benchmarking.
Yeah, right. Yay.
So I was just like you, Mary. I was, what is benchmarking? It's coming up at all my meetings. Anyway, it's the benchmarking of mixed use developments or to go, I guess it's part of the local comprehensive plan. I'm still mixed up about whose contract is what, but there are a lot of interesting examples of mixed use developments that BSC is working on that as well. And then there were updates from a few of the MUC committees. So it was a pretty busy week.
And that mixed use study,
Yeah,
right,
Yeah.
is funded by the state and the Affordable Housing Trust.
yeah, okay. By the state. I really have been confused about.
Right, it's a
Which studies go
community
where?
planning grant.
What,
Uh-huh.
what
And-
is the study?
So it was a community planning grant, right?
Mhm.
And I think some of the money is going towards the LCP,
Yes,
but the trust really wanted to have focus on mixed use on Route 28, like redevelopment of Route 28 with all this sewering potential coming in, but not just residential, mixed use.
Mhm.
So they really wanted to see some examples, like
Mhm.
a couple of places on Route 28 that the town has said, oh, that's some place that needs to be redeveloped,
Mhm.
and hire somebody to kind of sketch out what could go there.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's Union Studio that responded to the request for proposal. And it was we talked about it a little bit with the select board. Remember when we did the housing workshop, with the select board? That was that package. So it's gonna really help the town as we go forward, because when people come in and say, well, gee, I'm interested in buying something for, on Route 28 and it's like, you can say, here, this is exactly what we want. So,
I didn't make copies for everyone, but I could send copies of the mixed use benchmarking.
yes,
That we had,
I'd be interested in seeing.
yeah, if you
I'll
could,
do that.
yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
And because it really will be interesting, and we were focusing on 1 acre, 2 acre, and 3 acre
Oh, okay.
ideas, because that seems to be the available sizes of properties on Route 28 that might come up for development.
That's a really interesting way of approaching it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Community Preservation Committee.
That's me. I presented the 2 housing projects at the town meeting, and both were approved. It was the 600,000, I think, for the Community Housing Trust. And there was, a smaller $40,000 request from, Hands of Hope Outreach Center for Yarmouth residents to help prevent homelessness or to pay toward, deposits for a rental within the town of Yarmouth. And town meeting was really interesting. One person said we should just do away with Community Preservation Committee entirely. So I thought, okay, so that's my big announcement. I don't think we have any other meetings planned for now, because we did the blood and we did all that work.
Community Development.
Just we're very busy with planning. And you all know that Karen Green has resigned and moved on to the Barnstable Land Trust. So we do have a job opening if anybody's interested. And that's about it. I didn't know, Sharon looked like she had something else to add.
Could ask the question afterwards.
Okay, all right.
It was actually, how is it determined what fair market value or rent would be on any new development? Is it the developer that sets that?
So Sharon's asking, how is the rent set? What's affordable to a household is that their housing costs do not exceed 30% of their actual income, right?
Market rate.
Oh, market? Yeah, no, there's the market.
It's whatever they want to set it.
Whatever they want to, yeah.
They being the developer.
The owner, yeah,
Yeah.
the owner, yep. I mean, sometimes they look at the federal fair market rate rents to start with, but on the Cape, they can always exceed those. The federal fair market rate rents are set annually for HUD as a target for people who have a voucher, a rental voucher, and they include utilities. So finding out what the real medium rent is kind of hard. The average rent is kind of hard because so many rents have utilities and so many don't. include the utilities. So, yeah, I am finding that, and Josh probably can back me up, that there's a lot of people calling for help with housing because last year the rents went up and this year their rents went up,
Yep.
and the property owner is saying next year I'm going to raise again. And this is not by like $5. This is like anywhere from $100 to $200 a year.
Yeah, we see about 150 on average every year.
Yeah,
Oh.
it keeps going. And for years on the Cape, rents were just kind of staying. But now where there's some money to be made, boy, they're just advancing.
There was an article.
Come and use the mic, because I know the people at home would love to hear what you have to say.
But there was an article, and I think it was the Cape Cod Times in some sort of journal that estimated the rent for every town on Cape.
Oh,
And Yarmouth was the lowest,
it could be, yeah.
and I think Chatham was the highest. But it was kind of interesting. It really didn't delve into it, so I was wondering if there's a particular article somewhere that
I,
gives
s-
better
I saw that
statistics.
same one you're talking about, and all of them looked suspiciously low to me.
Is that
So
right?
I was
Isn't it funny how that
curious
happens?
as to where they were pulling their data from.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting that the assessor in Yarmouth uses rent as a way to tax the
Oh, yeah.
rental property. So you can see how sometimes when they report the
Oh.
rent,
It's pretty
they
obvious.
could be underreporting. And but that
Local.
information from the assessor is public.
Mhm.
It's reported to the state. So they might be drawing those numbers, but I have found that when you go on Zillow, or I used to do the newspaper, right? But now I do online searches. They're everywhere. They go up to like 4,500 for certain houses. It's all over the place. And I do know that when people like friends rent to friends, that rate can be very low,
Yep.
and it's just it's harder than the home ownership to get a handle on.
Hmm.
So I always say the average rents are about 2,200 without utilities, and it's about a affordability gap of $1,000.
Mm.
I've known some landlords that will take less if you pay your rent in cash too.
Right.
If you pay your rent, what?
Cash.
Cash,
Oh, yeah.
because there's no transaction on it. It's going to be very interesting because we're still working with UMass Amherst on the short-term rental.
Mm.
So that's going to be very interesting to see what information they're able to glean.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. Our next committee meeting is June 9th. And do we have any other business? Motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Greg, roll call, Greg,
Yes.
Drew,
Yes.
Myra, John, yes, Deidre,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
please.
Yes, Lee. Lee, yes.
Okay, we'll let Mary get back to her benchmarking.
Okay.